The planet Earth.
Some call me nature.
I am very passionate about the planet
Earth.
A living, breathing planet capable of sustaining whatever life forms we see fit to deposit on it.
Spock, judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived.
It's the planet stupid.
No. It's the planet stupid.
Our guide for It's the Planet Stupid, Belinda Waymouth. Hi, Belinda Waymouth. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Mark. Thank you. How are you?
I'm well, and you are today, including in your batch of stories that usually bring us about various things happening. As I was saying before, it's really my favorite story, meaning it speaks to something that you've touched on, which is corporate ownership of the pollution that is the result of a lot of these corporate businesses. There's so much polluting going on that's then unaccounted for. They take all the profits, but they don't pay for any of the cleanup. This is happening in New York.
Yes, yeah, it's fantastic. So yesterday, yes, the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, people will know her name, and you will have discussed her cases against Trump a lot with your previous guest, David Katz. They're suing Pepsi. And it's really fantastic. They're not the first state. Minnesota and Connecticut have also gone up against the plastic, industry, which, as we know, is a branch of fossil fuels and petrochemicals. That's where the feedstock for plastics come from. But, this lawsuit is really great. And the thing that's really, that I sort of love about, how they're able to do this is, unlike all the greenhouse gas emissions, we can't see them going up into the atmosphere. There's not, they don't have little branding on them, that the CO2 molecule comes from ExxonMobil and this one comes from Shell. But with Pepsi's pollution, their name is all over that stuff because, what they've been actually able to say is that Pepsi is responsible for 17% of the trash that can be attributed to a specific brand because of course it's all packaging. And they have so many brands, and what the area that they're looking in is, the Buffalo River in upstate New York. And they're like, this stuff is everywhere. You're endangering Buffalo's water supply, the environment, and public health. And that is absolutely true. And, I just have to, go through the list of their brands because I think this is so, kind of wild. So Pepsi, obviously Pepsi, their drink. Doritos, Cheetos, Fritos, Gatorade, Mountain Dew, Ruffles, Tostitos, Lay's chips, Quaker, Lipton, Cracker Jack. I mean, the list is endless. So when they come in at almost 20% of the rubbish that they're finding, in the Buffalo River, you can see why, because they're responsible for a lot of the packaging that's out there. And they make all these claims like, our packaging is completely recyclable and we're doing this and we're being more responsible. And what the evidence on the ground is showing is, no, you're not. No, you're not. You say it, but it's just not true.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned all those products. Tony just had them up there a second ago because, it's, Pepsi's like the hood ornament, but the rest of the car is chock full of pollutants. I wonder what the realities are concerning, handicapping the real legal ownership that Pepsi may have at the end of this case. In other words, whether you can win this case against them. They have the most expensive lawyers in the world.
Well, I think Letitia James means business, and I think that we are absolutely sick of all the plastic pollution that we're living with. We get these terrible stories every week. We're ingesting a credit card worth of plastic, every human being, approximately per week. We're drinking it. We're eating it in our food, tiny, tiny microfibers that we're not seeing, and we're breathing it in. It's in the air. And so it's so ubiquitous, it's so pervasive, it's all over our beaches, and then the fact that it's in our drinking water. I mean, this is crazy. It's in our salt, it's in our honey, it's in our IPAs. I mean, it's just everywhere. And I loved that they really talked about the health concerns. They really talked about plastic pollution has been linked to early puberty, lower sperm count, altered reproductive organ functioning, this is happening in, they're finding in research with other mammals. If it's happening to other mammals, of course it's happening to us.
Yeah, I mean, that just states it starkly, and you've talked about it here so many times. I want to move on to something else that you brought to our attention, and that is the climate refugees who have been leaving areas already affected by the climate crisis and rising waters. They've been leaving now for some time.
Yeah. This is huge. And what happened last week at the Pacific Island Forum? So Pacific leaders met, and the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, said yes to the Tuvaluan Prime Minister, Calcianatano. He said, we need your help. Please help us. We're a nation of low-lying atolls. So atolls are, they're basically coral islands. It's a coral reef. They're usually around a lagoon, and they are so, the amount of vulnerability that they suffer, because of climate change, and it's just from rising sea levels, and they contribute nothing to global greenhouse gases. So then to say to a rich country like Australia, which has a ton of coal and is responsible, per capita, Australia has, the highest, they say, lots of statistics I read, the highest per capita rate of carbon emissions. And they asked Australia, they said, will you help us? Will you take us? Will you take our people? And Australia said yes. And, this is what needs to happen. Western countries need to help their poor neighbors who have done nothing to create climate change. They're actually calling this deal the Falapili Union, and in Tuvaluan that means the traditional values of good neighbors, where you have care and mutual respect. And what Australia has committed to doing so far is that they will take 280 people per year. They will give them social services. They will get education. They will be taken care of. Now, that's quite a small number when you consider there are 11,000 people who live in Tuvalu. And it's estimated that by 2050, a lot of their vital infrastructure and their land will be below the high tide level. So that means there are the two prime ministers there. So, it makes me quite emotional, because this is a thing that we've been talking about so long in the environmental movement. There has to be environmental justice for these countries, especially island nations, where they've done nothing to contribute to climate change, and they are absolutely bearing the brunt of it. I mean, they don't have decent drinking water because there's so much saltwater intrusion into their own aquifers. Now, at the rate they're going to take the Tuvaluans, it's going to take 40 years, but it's a start, and it's a huge step in the right direction. And when looking at that deal, it made me think about the Carteret Islands. Now, the Carteret Islands are part of Papua New Guinea. Same thing, very low-lying atoll. Just to give people an idea of how low-lying they are, they're 1.2 meters above sea level on the Carteret Islands. There are 7 atolls. That's 47 inches above sea level. 47 inches. That is nothing. When you think about a storm surge and what that means. And we've been talking about the Carteret Islands since 2005. They were basically the first climate refugees that the world went, oh my goodness, here is this group of people who live this idyllic Pacific Island, a very subsistence kind of level existence. But half their land has disappeared since 1994. The people suffer from malnutrition. They can't grow enough of their crops. They have droughts. They have the saltwater intrusion. And the really sad thing there, unlike what's going to happen for Tuvalu, because they've got this big neighbor who has said, yes, we'll take you. The Carteret Islands are part of Papua New Guinea. They are, their most direct government comes from the Bougainville Island, which is 83 kilometers away. They're talking about them being relocated there. The estimates for how much it would cost to move, there are roughly 1,500 people on the Carteret Islands. It would cost $5.3 million to move them. But because of local government corruption, incredible indifference, because these islands don't have any socio-economic sort of value to the powers that be, the powers above them. And then also the other thing that's tough is that there's limited land on islands. So the amount of land that you'd need for these 1,100 people from the Carteret Islands to be able to grow their crops and live, even at a subsistence level, Papua New Guinea, you can't buy and sell land. And so, there's I mean, look at it. I mean, you can see how vulnerable they are.
Sure.
And they have this really simple way of life. They have moved already 10 families to Bougainville. But because they come from this super isolated place and they live this very simple life, they actually find it really, really hard to leave. And they have incredible connection to their islands because their ancestors are there. They don't want to leave them.
Well, they're like many native peoples. They're more connected to the land than many in the developed world are.
But when you think the price tag for moving these people is $5.3 million dollars, I mean,
what were you saying, that it's the corruption, and you were saying what are the impediments to it? The corruption and the fact that they don't want to leave, or those are two elements?
So the government that has direct sort of control over them it's called Bougainville, and it's an island that's 83 kilometers from Carteret Islands. It's part of Papua New Guinea, and Papua New Guinea is in the centralized government. But they don't want to get involved in, they sort of say for the, Papua New Guinea, it's sort of this provincial little problem, like, why should we bother? This is the Carteret Islands, and they're even having a problem with, big greedy nations coming in and fishing all the fish around their atoll, because atolls are breeding ground for fish. So they even have to go further afield now, to get their fish. So there's an indifference towards them because this group of islands has no socio-economic value to either, Papua New Guinea as the central government or Bougainville as their more immediate government. And then there's also the scarcity of land because they're all living on islands. So, and the way the legal real estate laws are in Papua New Guinea, you can't buy and sell land. And so what they're estimating they need. So far, the Catholic Church has given an NGO that's taking care of trying to, move the Carteret people. They got 81 hectares. Well, they estimate that for that many people, they need 1,400 hectares of land to be able to farm and support themselves and, live properly. And, land is a commodity that's in super short supply if you live on a small Pacific island.
Jeez. That really states it starkly. I don't know, how do you get there from here type thing?
Yeah. And the truth is we need things like what just happened with Australia and Tuvalu. We need a big neighbor that's got land like Australia and resources to come in and say, we'll be the big brother, the big sister. We'll help you. We'll be the ones, because otherwise, what we're facing when we look into the future, people already don't like the refugee, the immigration.
Sure, people, right. It's everybody likes the velvet rope up. They don't want to drop the velvet rope for anybody, for any refugee or immigrant. But you're right. We need countries to step up and to recognize this as a global crisis and to welcome these people in, but with sufficient, as you've suggested, sufficient acreage, hectares, to make it workable. There was a film, I saw it at Sundance, actually. I think I saw one before. It was called There Once Was an Island. That's what it's called. There Once Was an Island. You can find it streaming, I think, and elsewhere. And it is this story that Belinda's telling. There Once Was an Island, it's called. And it's a great watch. I mean, you can see, literally, you see the water. You see, even before there's any storm surge or anything, how the water is encroaching on their life and how they're trying to continue with their life while also understanding that this encroachment is going to make it harder and harder for them to live. I thought it was excellent. There Once Was an Island, it's called. Look at that, Tony, hustling that up. Thank you very much. Belinda, we're
Thanks, Tony.
almost out of time, or maybe we really are out of time. I wanted to get to the volcanic stuff.
Oh,
Can you just quickly give me 1 minute on the volcanic? Because there's a period of seismic activity and volcanic activity that's pretty concerning.
You mean the one off the coast of Japan and the fact that it actually made an island, that we've got all these other islands?
Exactly.
Yeah, and the island that it made was 66 feet above sea level. I mean, Japan is right on the ring of fire. So, there's going to be, volcanic eruptions, and then you get all the debris. And it happened in a shallow enough part of the ocean that as that debris all accumulated, it created this. And by the way, it's only a temporary island because it's already washing away. But, we sort of need more of that,
So I shouldn't be so concerned with the seismic activity. It's just it's part of the game there, as you say, in that seismically active area. Am I wrong to refer to this in that same way with seismic activity? Maybe I am. I thought that volcanic eruptions are just that. They're an offshoot of seismic activity.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. This is seismic activity. And look at the island chain of Hawaii. I mean, those are volcanoes, and there's enough eruption and then the disposition of the debris from it, and you get these lava, basically, islands. And so, yes, and this is the Earth. This is the living Earth. This is the magma coming out of the center of the Earth and, exploding to the surface. So
I love it when you talk magma. Belinda, you can find her here on Thursdays. I'm so encouraged by this Pepsi thing. I hope that it's the beginning of a template that is followed by other states. And we look now. Next week we are dark on Thanksgiving. No show, so you have a week off, Belinda.
Okay, all right.
We'll catch you. We'll catch you after that. Thanks, Belinda.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. That's It's the Planet Stupid for today.
More
It's the Planet Stupid. No. It's the Planet Stupid.
next time, only on The Mark Thompson Show.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.